Good morning, ma. So in previous class we have discussed some Euler's equation and different types of problems we have discussed. On straight line formula we have discussed, and how they are going to implement for different types of sections we have seen. So now today class we will see if the column is going to get eccentricity loading. If the column is going to get eccentric loading, so in previous condition if the column is going to get different types of end conditions we have seen, one hand hinged, other hand fixed, like that we have seen. If the column is going to get eccentricity of a distance c, how it is going to behave, in today class we will discuss. So normally for eccentricity also we are going to take one end is fixed and other end is free section. The column of AB we are going to take, the length of one column is of L we are going to take. So it is the load is acting at an distance of that an eccentricity of E we are going to pick up. So from here an eccentricity of E, the load is acting. Same, one end is fixed and other end is free. If eccentricity E is going to act up at this column, it is going to make some sway. Nothing but if the load is acting here, it is going to get some sway effect here. Additionally with this eccentricity. So like that, similarly when sway effect is going to occur, so this is of column. So when sway is going to get affect, so the column is going to tend like this. So then, so this tending effect is denoted with A, with an eccentricity E. Eccentricity is going to include in the problem itself. So this is of AB column, and at an x distance we have to find out the eccentricity, and this is of deflection Y. So now we will see if the eccentricity is going to act to the columns, how they are going to deflect. Now we have to see. So for this, so here A will denote as deflection. So the A is also can be defined as deflection at free end capital B. E we know E is nothing but eccentricity, and A is nothing but area of cross section. So now similarly what we have done for the previous problem, the same thing we have to do. So first we will find out the moment at the section we are going to find out. So the moment at the section M can be given as, so with respect to P, A, E and Y we have to take. So P of A plus E minus Y it is going to get. But we know the moment can be written as M is equal to EI into d square Y by dx square. So now what we have to do, we have to equalize these two conditions and we have to find out the equation. So by equating the above two moments, we will get EI into d square Y by dx square is equal to P of A plus C into minus Y. So next what you have to do, similarly, so this equation can be written as P of A plus C minus Py. If I am going to transfer this Py to this side, so the equation can be written as EI into d square Y by dx square is equal to P of minus P of minus Py is equal to P of A plus E. So now what we have to do, we have to divide the equation on both sides with respect to EI. So if I am going to divide, the equation can be written as EI into d square Y by dx square minus Py by EI is equal to P of A plus C by EI, it is going to come up. So here the value of EI will get cancelled out. Then finally the equation can be written as, so minus it will come plus here, sorry. Then the equation will be written as d square Y by dx square plus P by EI into Y is equal to P by EI into A plus E, it is going to get. So we know that from the starting of column condition, we know that P by EI is equal to alpha square, then alpha is equal to root of P by EI. So then this equation can be written as d square Y by dx square plus alpha square Y is equal to alpha square of A plus C, it is going to get. So now what we have to do, we have to differentiate this equation and we are going to find out the solution. So by differentiating this equation, we will get the solution as, so same we know the formula, y is equal to c1 cos of alpha into x plus c2 into sine of alpha into x plus additionally a plus e we are going to get additionally a plus e. So this equation can be written as y1 into c1. So we know the alpha is nothing root of p by ei into x plus c2 into sine of root p by ei into x plus a plus e. So make it as equation number 1. So now what we have to do, we have to substitute the boundary conditions and we have to find out the value of p we have to find out. So what are the boundary conditions we are going to have? So one end is fixed and other end is free. So that at first boundary condition, nothing but at a, the boundary condition we are going to have at x is equal to 0, y is equal to 0 we are going to have, and due to the fixity we are going to get the slope dy by dx is equal to 0. And similarly at b condition, x is equal to, it is going to have L and y it is going to have a, y it has traveled at a distance of a. So now we have to substitute these two conditions and we have to find out the equation. So first I will substitute the first boundary condition, x is equal to 0 and y is equal to 0. So by substituting x is equal to 0, y is equal to 0, x is equal to y is 0 in first equation we will get, so the first equation y is equal to c1 cos 0 plus c2 into 0 plus a plus c we are going to have. So sin 0 is 0 itself, cos 0 it will become 1, then y1 is equal to c1 plus a plus c, sorry here y will become 0, then therefore the value of c1 is equal to minus of a plus e. So the value of c1 we have found out. So next what you have to do, we have to differentiate to find out the value of c2. What you have to do, sorry, the second boundary condition we have to substitute, that is dy by dx at x is equal to 0, dy by dx is equal to 0. So to find out that equation, what you have to do, we have to differentiate the equation 1 at one time with respect to x we have to do. So by differentiating equation we will get dy by dx is equal to minus c1 into sin, so dy by dx of cos x will become minus sin x, p by ei into x into root of p by ei plus c2 into so plus c2 into, so here it is cos plus c2 into cos of root p by ei into x into root p by ei plus the constant will become 0. So next what we have to do, we have to substitute the second boundary condition, that is at x is equal to 0, dy by dx is equal to 0. So by substituting this boundary condition, the equation will become as dy by x is 0, then the value of sin total x sin 0 will become, so the total value of c1 will become minus c1 into 0 plus c2 into cos 1, it will become 1 itself, cos 1 is 1, so then this equation can be written as c2 into 1 of root p by ei it will come. Then from this the equation will come as 0 is equal to c2 into root of p by e. So from this equation it is clear that either c2 is equal to 0 or root p by e is equal to 0. So therefore the value of c2 here it will become 0. So now we have found out the value of c1 and c2. So now what we have to do, we have to substitute the values of c1 and c2 in equation number 1. Substitute c1 and c2 in equation 1. So by substituting that, y is equal to minus a plus e into cos of root p by ei into x plus, and directly I have substituted ma. Next the value of c2 is 0 here, c2 into sin of root p by ei into x plus a plus e here. So this total value will become 0. Then the equation can be written as y is equal to minus of a plus c into cos of root p by ei into x plus a plus e. So make it as equation number 2. So next what you have to do, in this second equation, now we have to substitute the second boundary condition we have to substitute, nothing but the second boundary condition at B we have to substitute. So at B we are going to have x is equal to L and y is equal to A. So by substituting these conditions in this equation we will get y is equal to A. So the y value will become A minus of A plus E into cos of root P by EA into x, it will become L plus A plus E. So if you see here we are going to have the common term as A plus C. So just take out the common term A plus C to the one side, then you do one thing, you just transfer this A plus C to the other side, then equation will come as A plus C into cos root P by EI into L is equal to, I am going to transfer this A plus C to the other side, then it will become A plus C minus A. A will get cancelled out here, then the equation can be written as A plus C into cos of root P by EI into L is equal to E, it is going to come up. So from this, next we have to find out the value of A plus C. So the equation has came as A plus C into cos of root P by EI into L is equal to E. So here the value of A plus C, the combination of the distance y it has travelled plus eccentricity E, we have to find out the combination of both combination. Nothing but this is an column, no? When it has deflected, it has travelled to a distance of A deflection with an eccentricity E. So these two combination we have to find out. Therefore A plus C is equal to E by cos of root P by EI into L, where 1 by cos can be written as secant, it will come as 1 by secant. A plus C is equal to secant root of P by EI into L. So this is the load, the crippling load acting at an eccentricity sections. So these equation or this derivation can also be known as column swinging at eccentric loading, or it can also be written as secant formula. So this can be also called as secant formula equation. So it can ask in any way, find out the crippling load for an column with an eccentric loading, or find out the secant formula for an column. If they are going to ask anything, we can find it. So now we have found out A plus C. So from the second unit we have seen that when the eccentricity is going to acting on the columns, definitely there some bending stresses and direct stresses are going to act up. Nothing but sigma B and sigma naught are going to act up on the columns when eccentricity is going to happen. So now what we will do, we will find out the that maximum stresses, nothing but sigma B and sigma naught we are going to find out. So from this directly, so we will find out the maximum directly, the maximum stress we have to find out. The maximum stresses is equal to, so sigma max we have to find out. Sigma max is equal to sigma naught plus sigma B, where sigma naught is equal to direct stresses, sigma B is equal to bending stresses. Definitely when eccentricity is going to, these two loads are going to come up. So from the figure, the direct stresses sigma naught can be written as P by A, load by area. And now the value of sigma B we have to find out. So the value of sigma B is nothing but bending stresses we have to find out. So now the maximum bending stresses we are going to get at the NDA itself, because at NDA we are going to have the fixity. The maximum bending stresses we get at NDA itself. So now we will find out the maximum stresses at NDA. So now at the NDA, the maximum stresses bending moment M is equal to P of A plus G with additional to P of A plus C. Then we know the value of A plus C that you have found it in the previous one. Just substitute that is equal to P of secant, sorry, here E it will come, P E into secant of root P by EI into L it will come, right. So from this we know that we have to find out the value of sigma B we have to find out. So we know that M by I is equal to sigma B by Y. So from this the value of sigma b we have to find out. Therefore sigma b is equal to m by I into y. So this equation can be written as sigma b is equal to m divided by I by y, where I by y can be written as z, modulus of the z value we can return. So from this, therefore the moment m we have found it. So here the moment m we have taken, so just substitute that. Then from this, therefore sigma b is equal to the m value is p into e into secant of root p by ei into l divided by the section modulus z. So now the bending stresses we have found it and the direct stresses sigma naught we have found it. Therefore from this sigma max is equal to sigma naught plus sigma b. So whereas sigma naught direct stress is equal to p by a, sigma b is equal to p into e into secant of root p by ei into l divided by z. So from this here the condition they have given us when the here the condition is when the end is fixed and other end is free. So here the value of effective length can be written as 2l. So from this the value of L can be written as Le by 2. So just substitute this Le value in this length condition. Then the sigma max can be written as sigma max is equal to P by A plus P into E into secant of root P by Ei into La by 2 by Z. So these are the maximum stresses induced in the eccentric column conditions, and this is the formula we are going to get for this is the secant formula we are going to for the eccentricity loading conditions. So we have completed the derivation. So now we will do one example problem. That see here, a column of circular cross section is subjected to a load of 120 kilonewton. The load is parallel to the axis but eccentricity by an amount of 2.5 mm. So it is having some eccentricity of 2.5 mm. The external and internal columns are of 60 mm and 50 mm. If the both ends of column are hinged, here the condition he has given us hinged condition. The length of column is 2.5 meter. Determine the maximum stresses and take E is equal to 200. Here E value is 200 giganewton per meter square he has given. So here what we have to find out, the maximum stresses sigma max we have to find out, that we have seen in the previous derivation. So for that first we will go with the given data. So here the given data is given, the load he has given as 120 kilonewton, that is equal to 120 into 10 to the power of 3 newtons. Similarly the internal diameter and external diameter he has given for the column. So capital D he has given as 60 mm and small d he has given as 50 mm. So if I are going to write in meters, it will become 0.06 meters and it will become 0.05 meters. And the eccentricity E has given, that is of 2.55 mm. So if I are going to write in meters, it will become 0.0255 meters. And length he has given as 2.1 meters, that is equal to 2.1 meters. And similarly the value of E he has given, that is 200 giganewton per meter square. So it can be written as 200, if giga is nothing but 10 power 9 newton per meter square. Then so 10 newton per meter square is nothing but 10 power per newton divided by here meter square we are going to have convert into mm. If you are going to convert into mm, so 10 power per newton by, if you are going to mm, it will come 10 power 6 mm square, it will come power 6 power 9. If you are going to cast, then we will get 200 into 10 to the power of 3 newton per mm square we will get. So to find out, so what we have to find out, the maximum stresses sigma max we have to find out, that is equal to P by A plus P into E into secant root of P by Ei into La by 2 we are going to have divided by the Z we are going to have. So here we know the value of P, E, we know the value of Le we know everything it has given in the formula itself. we don't know the value of A and Z we don't know. So A is nothing but area of our section. Z is nothing but to find out the value of Z we have to know the value of I and Y we have to know. So now we will find out the value of I and Y. So first we will find out the area of our section. So A is equal to, it is of circular section, then it will become pi by 4 of d square minus capital D square minus small d square. In formula it has given pi by 4 of, if you are going to convert, we have converted into section 0.06 square minus 0.05 square. If you are going to multiply these equations, we will get in the form of the result will come 8.63 to 10 power of minus 4 meter square we will get. Similarly, we have found out the A value we have find out. So next we have to find out the moment of inertia we have to find out. So the moment of inertia is nothing but I value we have to find out. I is equal to, so for the circular section the moment of inertia I value can be pi by 64 d power 4 minus small d power 4 it will come. So if I am going to substitute, the equation will come as pi by 64 of 0.06 power 4 minus 0.05 power 4 it will come. So by making it, we will get the value as 3.29 into 10 to the power of minus 7 meter power 4 we will get. So this is the value we are going to get for the I value section. So next, the section modulus Z we have to find out. So section modulus Z is equal to I by Y. So here I by Y, we know the value of I is 3.29 into 10 to the power of minus 7. So here Y value how can we find out? Here the capital D has given as the diameter of our section is 60 mm he has given, nothing but the center of gravity Y is going to pick up at D by 2, capital D by 2, nothing but 0.06 divided by 2. Then by substituting this we will get the value as 1.096 into 10 to the power of 5 meter cube we will get. So in this we have found out the value of Z we have found out and the A we have found out. So just substitute in the required equation. So next, so from this then therefore sigma max is equal to, the formula is P by A plus P into E into secant of root P by EI into LA by 2 by section minus Z. We know the value of P as is 120 to 10 power of 3 and the A value is 8.63 into 10 to power of minus 4 into P value is 120 into 10 power of 3. E value is, he has given in the formula as 2.55 mm. So it can be written 0.00255 into secant of root P by A. Root of P by A is 120 into 10 to the power of 3 divided by E value is 200 into 10 to the power of 9 and the I value is 3.29 into 10 to the power of minus 7. Here the value of effective length LE, the length LE, length he has given in the equation. So the length here he has given as 2.1 meter. Here the length can be considered as LE. So here the value of LE is nothing but 2.1 divided by 2 whole divided by section modulus value is 1.096 into 10 to the power of minus 5. If I am going to multiply this equation will get the value as 139.049 into 10 to the power of 6 plus the total numerator will get 306.093 divided by 1.096 into 10 to the power of minus 5 will get. So by calculating the total equation we will get the final result as 169.977 into 10 to the power of 6 Newton per mm square. So this is of sigma max. So like this the problems has to be done for an eccentric column. If in the problems they are going to ask find out the eccentricity effect, then you have to use these eccentric loading condition formulas. So we have completed some different types of problems. Now Euler's equation we have seen, and straight line formula we have seen. So that Euler's equation and straight line formula are going to use for column conditions which are going to have different types of conditions. So now if an eccentricity load is going to act for a column section, what are the other useful methods we are going to have to determine here? So to determine the safe load in an eccentric column, we are going to have one method, that is Professor Perry's formula. So we are going to have, to determine the safe load in an eccentricity columns, we are going to have Professor Perry's formula. So it is useful to determine the safe load in an eccentric column. So similarly, we don't have any difference here. Directly we are going to find out the direct stresses and bending stresses. We are going to combine them and we are going to find out the equation. It is quite similar as previous itself. So here what we are going to do, direct stresses are denoted with sigma naught and bending stresses are denoted with sigma b. So here the direct stresses are denoted by sigma d in Professor Perry's formula, and sigma b is as usual. So first we will find out the sigma naught, nothing but sigma d we are going to find out, nothing but direct stresses. Sigma d is equal to, this is a known term, load by area, direct stresses P by A. Now the value of sigma b we have to find out. So we know sigma b from the previous derivation, sigma b is equal to m by z, we know this term. So this also can be written as sigma b is equal to m divided by the section minus z can be written as I by y, and this equation can be written as m I by m into y divided by I. So from previous derivation we know that I is equal to ak square. So by substituting I value in this equation, we will get the bending moment sigma b as my by ak square. So now what we have to find out, the distance of neutral axis we have to find. So here the value of m into y, so here we know the value of m that you have found out from the previous derivation. So here the value of m is equal to p into e into secant of root p by ei into l, where l can be written as la by 2. So here we are going to have, where l is equal to l is equal to la by 2, and this l can be written as la by 2. So by substituting this m value here, we will get the required bending stresses. Therefore so this equation can be written sigma b is equal to m is equal to p into e into secant of root p by ei into la by 2 into y divided by ak square we are going to get. Next, this equation can be written as sigma b is equal to p into ey by ak square is equal to secant of root p by ei into la by 2 we can write down. So this total equation, nothing but this total condition of secant p by ei into la by 2 can be written as, so this total equation sigma b is equal to p into ey by ak square secant p e, this total equation can be written as secant pi by 2 root of p by p Euler's, we can write it down. So like this we can write down this equation. So now we will see how this equation has came, secant pi by 2 of root of p divided by p Euler's, how it has came, now we will see. So this we don't need, for your reference I am going to solve it. So now, so where the p Euler's can be written as pi square ei by le square. So we are going to have sigma b is equal to p into ey by ak square into secant pi by 2 into root of p by, here p Euler's is nothing but pi square ei by le square. So this equation can be written as p into ey by ak square into secant pi by 2 into root of p into le by le square. So I am going to take this one into pi square into ei. So if I am going to take out this la square and pi square to the outside, so this equation it can be written as p by ei into ak square into secant pi by 2. If le and pi are going to take outside, the squares will get cancelled out. then this equation becomes LE by pi into root of P by EI. If pi is going to get cancelled out, then equation can be as P into EY by AK square into secant into secant LA by 2 into root of P by EI, it will come. So if you see here, so this equation we have seen in the previous one. So this, see here we are going to have P into EY into secant of root of P by EI into LA by 2, same equation as came up. So that's why this equation is replaced with secant pi by 2 into P by P Euler's we have separated. So this is for your reference. So you no need to write this in the examination. This is for reference. I am going to explain for you how it has came. So now by substituting like this, we will get the bending stresses we have find out and the direct stresses sigma d we have find out. Now then therefore sigma max is equal to P by A, the direct stresses as denoted by P by A plus P into EY by AK square into secant pi by 2 into root of P by P Euler's. Now if you see here, so here from these terms we are going to have P by A as common. Here P by A are going. So take down the common terms. Therefore sigma max is equal to P by A of 1 plus EY by K square into secant pi by 2 into root of P by P Euler's we are going to have. So according to Professor Perry's formula, the equation of secant pi by 2 into root of P by P Euler's can be written as 1.2 P Euler's divided by P Euler minus P. So according to Professor Perry's formula, the value of secant pi by 2 into root of P by P Euler's can be written as 1.2 P Euler's by P Euler minus P. So this is approximately he has taken like this. By substituting this value in the previous equation, we will get therefore sigma max is equal to, so this P by A can be written as direct stresses sigma d plus 1 by E by K square. So by substituting that, it will become 1.2 P Euler's divided by P Euler's minus P we are going to get. Then by simplifying this equation, sigma d plus 1 by E by K square. So P Euler's can be written as, where if sigma naught is equal to P by A, then sigma Euler's is equal to P Euler's by A. Then therefore P Euler's is equal to sigma Euler's into A. So like this the P Euler's can be written. So by substituting like that, then 1.2 into sigma Euler's into A. So similarly here also P Euler's can be written like this, sigma Euler's into A minus here the P value. So here if you see the P value, here the P value can be written as P is equal to sigma naught into A. By substituting that, so here sigma naught is nothing but sigma d minus sigma d into A. So like this we can substitute. Then if you see here in the both the terms the A is common, take out the common term, then it can be written as sigma d of 1 plus Ey by K square into 1.2 sigma Euler's into A divided by A of sigma Euler's minus sigma d. Here A will get cancelled out. Then the final equation is sigma d of 1 plus Ey by K square 1.2 sigma Euler's divided by sigma Euler's minus sigma d we are going to get. Sigma max is equal to. So therefore if I am going to take this value to the other side, the sigma d value and one value to the other side, then this equation will be written as sigma max. If I am going to take this to this side, it will become sigma d, and I am going to take 1 to this side, it will become minus 1. Sigma max by sigma d minus 1 is equal to Ey by k square 1.2 sigma Euler's divided by sigma Euler's minus sigma d it will come. And from this, if I am going to take this equation to this side, then the equation will become sigma max by sigma d minus 1 into, so it will come reciprocally, sigma Euler's minus sigma d by 1.2 sigma Euler's into, so here 1.2 we are going to have now, this 1.2 will become 1.2 Ey by k square it will come. So then finally this equation can be written as, therefore sigma max by sigma d minus 1 of 1 minus sigma d by sigma Euler's. So this equation can be written like this. If I am going to substitute 1 sigma Euler minus sigma d by sigma Euler's it will come is equal to 1.2 Ey by k square. So this is Professor Perry's formula. See here I have written some wrong thing. Here we don't get, so 1.2 is going to stay up here itself, only this condition is going to come here, sigma Euler's. So this can be 1 minus sigma d by sigma Euler's, 1.2 will be here itself. So in previously I have written some wrong here, so just correct it.